Hi, I'm Pete Galbert, and I make chairs from green wood using hand tools, and I want to share some of those tools and techniques with you today. Here's one of my chairs here, and as I flex these spindles, I think you're going to see something different is going on here. There's an incredible strength, yet flexibility in these parts, and that's because I've split and shaved them from a log. So we're going to start with a log on this project and show you how to split and shave and bend it into shapes that I think are going to surprise you. I decided to start with this project here, which is a firewood carrier designed by my friend David Sawyer. Dave is a mentor to me and a friend, and when I go into the workshop, it's really his voice I hear in my head because he's a master of using very little wood and achieving so much with it because of the strength that's locked in by starting with the tree. Here you see about a pound of wood in each one of these firewood carriers, but between them, I've got about 70 pounds of logs, which is as much as I want to carry, but it certainly isn't more than these firewood carriers can manage. Here you see one that I made years ago, 15 years ago as a matter of fact. It's taken thousands of trips with me out to the wood pile. It's as serviceable as it was the day I made it. There's this incredible inherent strength in this material, and we are able to unlock it using these techniques of starting with the tree, and we're also able to empower our hand tools to not just work fast, but to achieve things that would be almost impossible any other way, especially in the small shop environment. So hopefully this could be a great gateway into understanding the tools and techniques to make a chair, but if not, you'll make yourself some fantastic firewood carriers and hopefully open some doors into a whole new kind of woodworking. I started woodworking in furniture and cabinet shops, and everything I was working with was pretty much traditional boards, and I tried to introduce hand tools to it whenever I could. I enjoy them, they're fun, and there's always a miraculous feeling when you can take a beautiful shaving and get the results with a hand tool, as well as the better surfaces you can get. It just seemed to me like the hand tools were going to be my way forward to keep interested and excited about the work I was doing. But very quickly I started to realize that I wanted to do some other work, including curves and all sorts of things that weren't being served by these boards. And then I realized that I was really being limited at that time by the starting point that I was choosing. So let me just show you about that. Normally when I look at a board like this and say, where is the end grain, the response is generally, well, it's here at the end of the boards. But that's not quite the case. What you're seeing, because you see these cathedrals here, these growth rings that we've sheared across, those are actually exposed end grain. We've cut across those and sheared them. That's why when you're hand planing, you have to choose which direction to go so that you don't go into the end grain, causing it to chip out. And then on the opposite side of the board, usually, you have to go the opposite direction, and the same goes for the sides. Now, this is fine. Most machines certainly can ignore these uncomfortable facts, but when you get into hand tools, it can really slow you down. And it becomes limiting both in the strength and workability as well. If you look at this piece, which was split, you don't see any cathedrals. There's no place that we have actually cut across. So what that means is that the actual end grain is here and here. That's the only place it is. This is a long bundle of fibers with as much strength as this tree has to offer. But it gives me something else too. It gives me workability, because now that I've got this shaved down with my draw knife, which is really just a refined splitting tool, I always know the direction to shave. It's from the thicker part to the thinner part. And so that way, when I'm cutting, I can keep going with utter confidence that whatever wood is peeling away here in these big aggressive shavings is going to leave me a glassy, smooth surface. And that allows me to work very, very fast, because every spindle I ever do is just like every spindle I've ever done. And these are the things that made hand tools come into my work, and made them very efficient and the primary type of work I do now. And also, obviously, it can unlock a lot of other things. Wood like this is going to be incredibly strong. You can use very thin parts, and you can bend it in all sorts of shapes and radiuses. So all of a sudden, I started getting a lot more fresh air, and I started having a lot more fun with my woodworking and a lot more shavings and less dust. So here's the log that I've selected for the firewood carrier project. It's a large specimen for this project. It can be done with a much smaller log, but my hopes is that this is going to be a bit of a gateway into chair making, so I've decided to choose a larger piece so that you can see what it's like to split it and select it. So now I'm going to start splitting the log with my wedges and my sledge, and it's important that I start from the small end because I need to split this in half. There it goes. Now it's fully part except for the webbing. I want to take a moment to introduce a couple of terms that help us talk about the orientation of the parts in the tree. Normally we define it as different planes. This is the radial plane going from the center of the tree out to the bark. The tangential plane is parallel to the growth rings, or tangent to the circle that you see here. And those planes move differently and shave and split differently. So the tangential plane is going to shrink a lot more as this dries out, as well as seasonally as it picks up and loses moisture. That's why you end up seeing the splits naturally occurring in the ray plane, which is also weakened by the medullary rays that are nestled in there. So here's the bend for the firewood carrier, and you can see that there's bends in two different places, up here at the top and down here at the tines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the workpiece out of the steamer, and I'm actually going to limber those areas. I'm going to stretch those fibers and encourage those bends to be the spots where the actual shaping takes place. This base piece is the form for the bending. This is going to secure it and also help set the angles for these tines at the bottom. It's just a piece of 2x10 that I've cut to 9 inches wide at a 25-degree angle on both sides. And it's about 17 inches long, just a bit longer than the actual bend that I'm going to be making. And I've attached a strap here that's at a good height so that I can just slide it right up there, and it's going to pull this down onto the piece. And I've got another strap that's going to keep it in this way. And once it's there, this piece is so small, it's just going to take a day or two to dry to the point where I know that if I take it out of the strap, it's not going to go anywhere. I'm bending these tines, just limbering them up, getting them ready to take the final bend when I pull it out. So now that I've got these tines nice and limbered up, I'm going to put it back in the steamer and let it get up to heat for about 10 minutes.